Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. This is Kieno with STEMwithKieno.com, and today I'd like to do a tutorial on navigation. Radio navigation and pilotage is what we're going to be using for this simulated trip. The trip is going to originate at LaGuardia Airport. The airport identifier is LGA, Lima Golf Alpha. You have your control tower frequency, automatic terminal information, frequency, information. The elevation, it's a lighted airport, that's what the L means, and the longest runway is 7,000 feet. And the Unicom frequency of 122.95 is what fuel services or catering or whatever, what have you. Just additional pilot services would probably be monitoring that frequency. If you were landing there and you had a rental car waiting for you on standby, you could just call in that frequency to just make sure that the car was there and in position for when you land at that airport. So, let's talk about the pilotage part. I've done taken the liberty of actually going to Wikipedia, and let's see if I can get this slide over. We can't really see it, but I'll just read it aloud. Actually, you know what? I should be able to shift this. Give me a moment. There we go. Okay, this talks about pilotage and dead reckoning. And pilotage is the art of knowing where you are by reading a map and comparing it with the surrounding terrain and landmarks. And dead reckoning is another video that I will talk about. So basically, pilotage is just looking at your chart, knowing where you are, and just using it to navigate. So we start out at LaGuardia, and what we're going to do is fly west until we get ourselves over the Hudson River. I don't know if you guys can see this floating cursor there, but we're going to fly west till we get over the river, and we're going to just use pilotage. We're going to stay over the river. Our altitude we're going to select is 1,500 feet. And we should see Newark International Airport or Newark Liberty International Airport. And here we have the Statue of Liberty. So that will be a ground reference to just tell us where we are on the map. Pretty simple. We're going to keep flying. We're going to go over the Verrazano Bridge. And at the point of the Verrazano Bridge, we're going to start a radio navigation portion. At that point, I guess what we'll do is we'll climb to about 4,500 feet, or 4,500 feet specifically. Now, we're going to maintain Victor 6, and you can see V6 there, you can see V6 there. We could have actually flown it from LaGuardia because it's off the 225 radial VOR, and it flows down here, and then you join up with the 265 radial at John F. Kennedy International Airport. So that's where the radio navigation portion will begin. We will fly downward or southwestward until we get to the turning point here. And we're going to join the Salzburg VOR, and we can see the VOR information there, 112.9. And let me just come back to John F. Kennedy's VOR information, VOR DME 115.9. Here's the Morse code and the controlling flight service station. Alright. And so we will join Victor 6 here off the 265 radial, and then we'll pick up the 117 radial and fly towards Salzburg VOR. We will leave on the 295 once we get 295 radial once we get station passage, and we will probably do a ground speed check in the middle here somewhere. I'll probably pick this Lizzie intersection, and then we will be en route to Allentown VOR. And here is the VOR information, 117.5. TACAN is 122. We have the Morse code and the actual letters of the Morse code. The Williamsport VOR, Williamsport Flight Service Station would be the controlling flight service station. And then that will put us here over the VOR TAC. This is VOR and TAC-N. And slightly, well not slightly, but south of the VOR, we should see the airport. So we'll just turn to it and fly to it. We won't even land. We'll just kind of see where we are and get our position. So it will be pilotage and radio navigation up to this point, and then we'll use pilotage southbound to identify the airport, and we should see the geographic area of Allentown, Bethlehem, that area in Pennsylvania and everything. So this is just a quick video I wanted to do because I had a subscriber just ask me about pilotage and radio navigation. So that's what this tutorial will be about. Oh, didn't mean to slip that around. Alright, here we go. So we will be starting from here, LaGuardia Airport, flying westbound, flying the river down to the Statue of Liberty, in which we'll start our climb to 4,500 feet. We will join Victor 6 off the 265 radial, and then pick up Solberg VOR, and we'll be coming inbound on the 117 radial, outbound on the 295, and we will be flying directly to Allentown VOR, and then we will fly southbound. Now there is another chart we can use called a low altitude en route chart. This takes out a lot of the clutter. Okay, this is a chart that is basically used by instrument rated pilots for IFR operations, but I always suggest that you look at them both. So we can see the waterway, just kind of as we fly westbound, we'll pick up the waterway, and we will fly that and join Victor 6, which is here, and we can see this is Victor 6. We know this is Victor 6 because that's pretty much the only turning point. If we kept going southbound, well, Victor 6 could be picked up here, but we're going to fly at 265 radial, I mentioned, until we join the 117, and then Solberg is right there, and then we said we're going to use Lizzie intersection. So Lizzie intersection is about 19 miles from here to the intersection. That's Lizzie intersection. We have the latitude and longitude there, so 19, and we'll do a ground speed check, and after Lizzie we'll fly directly to Allentown VOR, and then the field is south of the VOR, so it will be pilotage there, and we'll get a positive ID on the airport, and that'll be that. So I thank you guys for watching this briefing. The simulation is to follow. Thanks for watching. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to STEMwithKieno.com. I am Kieno. And if you saw the briefing, we're actually going to do the flight that we briefed on. So I am going to go ahead and set the heading bug to the runway heading. And let's see if we can't. Okay. Give me a minute to get things set up, guys. And we should get off the ground shortly. Looking for the sweet spot, found it, to expand the GPS. Okay, so we're gonna push the communications and VOR or Navcom, and we are going to set ourselves up for the VOR at John F. Kennedy International Airport. again, we gotta. Alright, I'll take that. 115.9. Go ahead and we'll swap that out. And we're going to join up with so we're going to take off runway 31. We're going to turn west. We're going to fly over the Hudson River. We're going to, for the pilotage part, what we're going to do is we're going to identify the Statue of Liberty and the Verrazano Bridge, and then we should pick up Victor 6. We're going to fly that into Salzburg VOR. And I was going to do a ground speed check, but that's really not necessary because the VO or the DME is going to give us a ground speed readout. Alright, let me just kind of pull up my sectional here. So I'll make sure that I'm not giving you guys any inaccurate information. Hold on a sec, guys. We'll get things going here. Alright. Okay. East Texas, Allentown. Actually, okay, I got to turn it there. Okay. Salzburg is
faculty and inherent mental or physical power.
Never mind that, guys. Okay, 112.9. We are going to set up, we'll close this out, and we're going to set up our backup radio, our number 2 radio. And, you know, if we were really in an airplane, it'd be just simple as reaching forward and touching a knob, but this is a simulator, so we have to kind of be sensitive to the program. Okay. I want 112.9. A little too much. Alright. One more. Alright. Oh, come on. I have a mode control panel on the way, so this way all I'll need to do is just reach out and touch a button like I would in a real airplane. But nonetheless, we will press on here. Okay, 112.9 is set. Alright, we'll look forward and we will tilt our control wheel here so we can get to this. And I want 265. A bit too much. And I think I'm probably going to edit this out because this is taking a little bit long. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, and start taping. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Kieno Thomas with STEMwithKieno.com, and today is going to be a short trip from LaGuardia International Airport to Allentown Airport in Pennsylvania, which is Lehigh Valley International Airport. As per the briefing, we are going to depart runway 31, which we're positioned on here right now. We're going to head west. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to fly over the Hudson River, so that will be the pilotage portion. Actually, we're not going to directly turn west. We're going to hold off just for a bit because the flight path is actually, if we did that, the flight path would actually put us over to buildings in Manhattan, which I don't want to be. But we have basically 115.9, which is John F. Kennedy International's VOR. We're going to join up with radial 265 outbound from John F. Kennedy International Airport. We're going to fly Victor 6, the 117 radial inbound to Solberg. We're going to depart on the 295 radial. And basically our initial altitude is going to be 1,500. Over the river, we're going to climb to 4,500, join in Victor 6, and that's all I have to say about that. Doing my Forrest Gump thing. Okay, so we're really not going to go too much into cockpit procedure because this tutorial is basically about pilotage and radio navigation. So that's what we're going to focus on. Go ahead and set up our trim wheel for takeoff. Right about there is the sweet spot. And let's just see if my tail number just came in. Let's take a outside look. Block spot. Okay. Okay, let's get some lights on. Landing lights I won't turn on. Okay. Lights are on, and let's go ahead and get some cockpit lighting going. Fuel tanks are full. Looks good. Alright, so let's go. Just trying to see if there's any last minute things that I need to do. We'll go ahead and turn our transponder. Trying to get into the habit of so lights, icing, flaps. Okay, let's get out of here, folks. Okay, we're going to advance the throttles, hold the brakes. Okay, holding the brakes, engine instruments are in the green. Let her roll. There we go. Advance to full throttle. Airspeed alive. Instrument cross check. Rotation. Positive rate. Gear up. Glide power setting set. And let's get that nose down a little bit. There's a Verrazano Bridge out there where we're ultimately going to wind up at, right out there. But we're going to come in over the Hudson River, and these buildings will be to our left. And we're going to level out at 1,500 as we talked about in the briefing. 100 feet to go. $1,500. Power setting of 32, 22. Clear left, turn left. Okay, we're going to keep ourselves positioned over the Hudson River. We're going to keep New York on the left, New Jersey on the right. We have Newark, the city of Newark, pretty much in front of us. And we have our cruise prop setting set. Let's keep it over the river. Okay, the Statue of Liberty is right about there, and the Verrazano Bridge is right there. All this is the Hudson River. So this is pretty much pilotage. We're looking at our chart, we're looking outside, we're looking at outstanding terrain features, and we're just navigating and maintaining our position that way. Okay. Just make some small adjustments here. We can see the buildings coming into play, and we saw the Verrazano Bridge earlier. And we're looking at it again, but we are looking at it from like directly a northbound position. And let's go ahead and zoom in here. And let's set. Or we want to be on the 265 outbound. So we'll talk about this instrument in a minute. Wow, that's a real good view of the Statue of Liberty. And as we move along, we will see the clarity. Okay, I want to come in right over the top of the Verrazano Bridge. So give it a little bit more turn. And we're going to go to our outside view. That's real nice. That's the Statue of Liberty right there. New Jersey on that side. Alright. Come back into our virtual cockpit and make our navigation adjustments, because I do want to come right in above the Verrazano. Okay. Now we're going to use this instrument indication. This represents our airplane, and this represents the radial that we want to fly on. We have it set up for outbound. We want to head outbound on radial of 265. We have that set. We have a from indication here, and Basically, we're kind of just doing what we want to do here as far as our navigation goes. So that's pilotage. You know, just looking at the chart, seeing where you are, having some known terrain features to look at as you fly, and just maintaining your position. So we pretty much flew the route we wanted to fly. We wanted to maintain our position over the river, keeping New York on the right, New Jersey on the left, and actually this part up here at the 1 o'clock position is actually Staten Island, but New Jersey is on the extreme right for the most part. We're level at 1,500. See what our ground speed is doing. We'll just look at our ground speed in a second. It really doesn't matter because basically we're going to actually go into a climb and we're going to lose some airspeed anyway. So coming in right above the Verrazano like we want it to. That's always good, right guys? For navigation purposes, we're coming right in above the bridge, in between the middle, right in the middle, like we wanted to. Okay, now we're starting to get some play out of the needle here, and what we're going to do is execute a right turn. Now I'm going to start a turn into it now, and then we will basically make our adjustments as needed. Okay. So we want to come in on the 117 degree radial. And let's go ahead and go to another view. See if we can't get that accomplished. Needle's pretty much centered. I'm going to maintain that heading. And then our objective is to join the 117 degree radial into Solberg. Alright, so let's close in a little bit. And let's see here, 117. So 120 is right there. We want to be a couple clicks. About 117 right there. We're moving at a pretty good clip, so we're going to go ahead and join up. Actually, no, we're going to hold this heading, and we're going to flip to 112.9, and we'll get some new navigation information. So we're going to maintain this heading until we join up with this course deviation indicator needle. Again, this is our airplane. The needle will come in, and that will tell us that we're on course the way we want to be. Okay, so let's start our climb. Nice gentle climb up to 4,500. And I'm just going to do a nice shallow climb. I don't want to lose too much airspeed. As we get into a climb, we would lose some airspeed because we're fighting gravity. But we're moving at a pretty good clip, and I want to maintain that speed into Solberg VOR. 25 miles away from the VOR, and just a nice, the water looks good out there. Now, interesting thing about it, I love this simulator because it is very much representative of the Piper Navajo. I flew to Navajo, I flew passengers around the Oregon during the program. Sometimes when we flew to Oregon during the program, we would actually take the seatbelts that the passengers would use to strap themselves in, and we take like body parts, like a liver, and stuff like that, and that's all we would transport. And it was just kind of funny because we would actually strap them in as we would a human. You know, you get the box, you strap it in, you may have a liver, a heart, kidneys. It's kind of crazy. Another interesting thing about the organ donor program is normally you are flying in the worst weather, man. I mean, crazy. You're flying in the worst weather. Okay, we're going to get at least 500 feet per minute here for our climb, but yeah, we would fly in the worst weather. And if you think about it, typically that's probably when organs kind of become available. Bad weather, people have car accidents and things of that nature, and hey, that's just what it is. But you know, it's very, very interesting. Okay, nice and steady climb up to 4,500. We selected an altitude of 4,500 because from 180 to 359 degrees, we have to select an even plus 500 foot altitude above 3,000. So the even part would be the 4,000, and the plus 500 would be 500. So 4,500 is an appropriate cruising VFR altitude, and we are flying or doing this trip under visual flight rules. And I am aware that our course deviation indicator is starting to come join us, and I see that. So no. Okay, let's cut out this radio chatter. There we go. That should take care of that, and let's get rid of that, and let's go to our annunciator panel again, and it doesn't give us the top part. Okay, that's fine. Alright, so let's join up with our needle here, and I'm just going to give it a nice little gentle turn into it by setting the heading bug, and I'm slightly right, of course. So this is the course deviation indicator. This would indicate the desired radial that we want to be on. So our airplane is slightly to the right, and that's okay. We're good to go for navigation. We are pointed towards Subcriber VOR, and just want to get this climb worked out, man. Come on, VSI. Climb, climb, climb. Okay. So we got that. We have that set up, and we'll go ahead and just a little bit more. Okay, so we are headed directly to Subcriber VOR. Another thing that I wanted to do was to identify using the Morse code that we saw in the briefing. So I will hit nav 1. And we'll wait for the Morse code. Okay, and that checks. We'll turn that out, and we will go ahead and lean out our airplane above 3,000 feet. We reduce the rate of our fuel consumption by pulling on these two levers. So as the air density decreases, we can burn less fuel, and it just makes us more fuel efficient, which is good. All right, back up front. $1,000 feet to go. We'll shake the stick here and let that center up. That's a little point of view, and I just want to be a little bit tighter on the instruments there, as our course deviation indicator is drifting to the right. 3,700 for 4,500. Okay. We're not going to land the aircraft. This is just pretty much radio navigation to Allentown VOR. and then we'll fly pilotage part radio navigation to identify Lehigh Valley International Airport. And I think Justin was the subscriber that requested this video. From what I understood, he is doing his multi-engine training, and you know, this is really like a nice, fun plane to fly. It can keep up with the commercial traffic when it's in the en route phase, and it's pretty cool bird to fly. I had fun flying it back in the day. 9.9 to Solberg, doing 150 knots over the ground for ground speed, and 100 feet to go. 3, 2, 1, leveling. Okay, 4,500. Another interesting thing we used to do in actually all the aircraft, whether it was a propeller aircraft or a jet aircraft, we would do something called trend monitoring. Trend, T-R-E-N-D monitoring. And it was just kind of like basically a report we would fill out, and we would do this by kind of just being in our cruise power settings, and we would come to our engine instruments while we're in the cruise phase and leveled out, and we would just note our oil pressure, cylinder head, cylinder temperatures, oil pressure, temperatures, and everything. This is the left engine, this is the right engine, fuel pressure, and things of that nature. So the mechanics could actually just, you know, tell whether, you know, there was some type of condition going on. Let me see, I tried to operate this thing earlier, and you gonna let me have you? No, she's still being difficult. Nope. Okay, no big deal. Okay, let's come on back. Now we got a little drift going on, and we are going to correct for that. As the needle flies off, you know, when we get pretty close, and I'm talking about like, you know, less than like a couple miles, we don't even worry about that because we're flying in something called the zone of ambiguity. So as we cross or away from the to from indication, the to from indicator lets us know when we have passed the station. If the CDI is pretty much centered as we're flying to it, and basically what the needle is going to do, it's going to wing all the way out, and then after we'll get the to from indicator flip, and then it's going to come back in. I've actually fished in this lake. This is the Spruce Run Reservoir, and a pretty cool place to fish in New Jersey. Last time I was there with my cousin. Shout out to my cousin Little Herman and my favorite uncle Big Herman. But yeah, me, my uncle, my dad, I think, you know, we've all fished there. Okay, level at 4,500, 152 knots over the ground, inbound on the 117, and we're about 2 miles out, right? So what I'm going to do is, at this point, I'm just going to maintain the heading. I will actually make an adjustment. Since we're 2 miles out, it's really not going to make that big of a deal, but we want to fly outbound on the 295 radial. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to point this thing slightly, just tweak it just a little bit. 295 is only like 2 degrees off. Probably could have kept it there, but let's be precise. So we're less than a mile out. This thing, like I said, when it goes out, goes off. We're going to get a from indication, and then bang. So now this indicates that we are flying away from Solberg VOR. So we've actually passed the station at this point. And we are going to be going to Allentown, which is 117.5. Alright, so we will come here to our navigation. So yeah, so we passed and the needle flew off, and now it's coming back. It just came back home to hang out with us. Alright, so this is pretty much radio navigation. We use it a lot, and basically this is a very, very useful tool when you are flying, when you're trying to get around airspace. You might set up a radial that you don't want to cross, and you can kind of set boundaries around the airspace with radials, because there's really not a lot of outstanding terrain features. Over this part of the New Jersey, PA area, it is very, very wooded. It's a very, very wooded area, and so, I mean, you can pick up highways and things like that. In the simulator, the highways are, you can kind of see some roads there and everything. I actually should have did like, because like when we're flying over the New Jersey Turnpike in the simulator, you can actually see the turnpike and the cars and all that stuff and everything, which is pretty cool. You can see their lights and stuff. Okay. 117.5. Again, the sweet spot for this thing is a little bit temperamental. Alright. A little too much. 117.5. We're just going to pretend that the Class Charlie approach controllers told us to fly directly to Solberg VOR. So what we do is 112.9 is Allentown VOR. So we're going to hit this active standby. This is the active frequency. This is the standby frequency. When we press this button, it's going to flip, and then we'll get navigation information headed to Allentown VOR. Here is the Class Charlie airspace. This is our aircraft. The VOR is positioned almost kind of like on the inner ring of the Class Charlie airspace, but we're not going to use the GPS to navigate. We are going to use our navigation instruments to get there. Slight drift, 23 miles out. Okay, and let's also pretend that we have an altitude change assignment. So we're going to assume or pretend that we have been given, I'm gonna wait till 10 miles out. Then we can do all that simulation. So basically, man, we're just cruising along, looking outside for other airplanes. Clouds look nice. Another cool thing about this too is, let me see, that is the Delaware River. It does wind and turn like that. Okay, so this is another pilotage part. Another cool thing about this thing is, let's see, shift 1, and we'll put in the nav. We'll let her work that out. Another cool thing about this simulator is that, let's see, as far as the cockpit, we have back passenger 1 and 2 positions where you can look around. Now our backs, with this view, our backs are towards the pilots. We could probably just kind of peek and we can see the co-pilot position there. Alright, and this is pretty much what the seating looks like. We would actually take the boxes, put them here in the middle, put the seatbelt on them to keep them secure. Some of these actually have a lavatory you could use. And we could set up the vent so the air flows through the cabin, so any kind of stinkiness or whatever and everything like that pretty much runs out the back. You have the passenger lighting if they want to read magazines. They have tray tables, and the one we flew had tray tables that they could set up, and we had like drinks and catering and things of that nature, so that was actually probably cool. This is actually a storage compartment. We have one here, and we actually would have one in the nose for, you know, the captain puts their stuff there, and the co-pilot will put their baggage in this nacelle. So that was always pretty neat, interesting. Back to virtual cockpit. Okay, let's see what's going on up here. Looking like 15.4 miles out, and we're about to penetrate the class Charlie. Here's our airplane, and here's the class Charlie. And 15 miles out. Okay, now a very, very important thing about the Piper Navajo. When you're in your cruise power settings at night, you could actually see some tubes in here glowing. That's how hot they would get. And so in order to prevent shock cooling, what we would do is we would just kind of just slowly reduce the power a couple inches of manifold pressure at a time. It's 12.9 from the VOR. So actually we get the airflow to gradually cool or bring the temperatures down. Once we get down to 25 inches of manifold pressure, then we're pretty much good to go. So let's simulate the air traffic controller giving us permission to descend and maintain 2,500 feet. And what we would do is we would just kind of pitch downward in order to even assist in that cooling even more. So we're slowly, you see the nose kind of falling away from the horizon just slightly. Nice little 500 foot per minute descent is cool with me. We are 10 miles from the VOR. And basically what we're going to do, I am actually going to turn right before we touch the VOR, and we're going to fly the 1/8 radial and just keep our eyes open. Okay. So our altimeter is showing a decrease in altitude. Our vertical speed indicator is showing a descent. And we're looking good there. A little turbulence there, shaking us up a little bit, nothing to worry about. Okay, but it has put us into a momentary climb, so I don't know what the heck that updraft is about, but we are going to continue our descent. Okay, bringing our power back just a little bit, just a hair. Okay, our fuel tanks are in the inboard tanks. Nice little descent down to 2,500. Looks like we're 7 miles out. I'll confirm that in a minute. Go ahead and turn our fuel pumps on. And fuel pumps on. Stay in a clean configuration, but we will bring our props up to 2,400 RPMs, and we look at the RPM gauge and we bring it up to the top of the green arc here. Okay, prop set, passing through 3,000 with 2,500. we're going to bring it down to 2200. Okay, leveling at 2200. And we're going to start at turn to 180. We're going to swing our course selector around to 180. Okay. Because we want a front indication and we want to kiss that needle. At the same time. Okay, we crossed over to 180 radial. And so we're going to turn into it to get it back. And that may even be the airport right there, but I'd rather be on the radial. Nope, there we go. That is the airport. Okay, so boom. I'd like to welcome you guys to Allentown International, or I'm sorry, Lehigh Valley International Airport. Let's get a nice little outside look. So there she is. And you know what? Why don't we just go ahead and set her down? Okay. That's a nice view right there. Okay, we'll bring ourselves to a heading of 240, and we will reverse course for runway 6. Okay, you can see the terminals just passing under the wing there. So we are pretty much sitting on top of the airport. That's 3113. Okay. Just bring ourselves to a heading of, I'm going to use 230 so we can just wing out a little bit. Alright, and we are at around for our no, we don't want to do that. Wrong knob. That's the knob we want. Right there. A little bit more. And we just do this to just remind us of the runway heading. Alright, so we can use different gauges when we're not officially using them for navigation. We can just use them to remind us of our runway heading. That nature. Alright, speed checks for approach flaps. Okay. Let's go to the co-pilot view and look around, Alright, so that is the flap switch. It is ergonomically designed, so even in the dark you can feel it and it feels like an airfoil. Okay, but the flaps are set. And one thing I neglected to do that we should have done is brought the mixtures to the ridge position. Okay. It's alternate static air. And I want to go back to the virtual cockpit. Okay, we will assume that heading of 240 now. Speed checks for gear. Extending the gear. And we hold our hand on that gear handle till we get 3 green. When we see the 3 green, down and locked. That's a nice view. Okay, so now we're going to have to bump in just a little bit of power because the airspeed is really going to start to bleed off when we extend the landing gear. Alright, let's bring her on around, folks. down on the ground at Lehigh Valley International shortly. Please fasten your seatbelts, return your seats to their normal upright position as we prepare for a landing. Just look out there if we can see the field. I believe that's it right there. The view is a little bit off here, so let's go ahead and come to an outside view. Okay, I have it. Alrighty, mission 1. Alright. Just zoom out here so I can get my hands on that trim. Is that trim wheel? I didn't want to do that. And easy. Gas undercarriage mixture props. A little hot. And this rudder's a little bit squirrely, but I'm going to work it out. That sounds so weird, like we're dragging it here or something. But hey, all in all, other than that, the simulator's kind of like good to go. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to Lehigh Valley International Airport. Again, this is Kieno with STEMwithKieno.com. Check us out on YouTube every Friday. If you go to our website, you can go to the landing page and you can go to the YouTube icon, and we offer free. Well, I actually answer questions about FAA questions, military aptitude test prep questions. If you guys are seeking to be military aviators in the United States Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, Air Force, or United States Army, I do test preparation for all the test prep tests. Is that what I said? Anyways, so yeah, if you are preparing to take those exams, I tutor for those. And all Federal Aviation Administration testing from private pilot all the way up to airline transport pilot and certified flight instructor, initial, multi-engine, all that good stuff. So again, I'd like to thank you all for pressing on the play button and actually checking this out. So this was for Justin. I appreciate your subscribership, and tell a friend. Have a great day. I will talk to you guys later. This is Kieno with STEMwithKieno.com. Have a great day. Bye-bye.